So welcome back, guys. I'm again here with Jeff, and few questions for you still. I know you are a very busy guy, but just a few questions. Everybody is talking about now the mortgage situations in Canada. How mortgage fraud is in Canada, and what can you tell us about it?
Yeah,
it was a huge topic on CBC television. So can you?
Yeah, sure. So I've had a lot of questions about that, so thank you for asking. That CBC Marketplace documentary really brought to light the kind of the bad apples in the industry, and how working with certain people, can really, not only does it affect their license when they get caught for this fraud, it also affects the home buyer, because if the lender finds out documents are fake, they can call the mortgage and you're in a very...
you're in big trouble.
Big trouble, for sure. So some things that the documentary talked about were things like creating employment letters, creating fake tax documents, creating fake pay stubs, all the stuff that we chatted about earlier, which is what is needed for a pre-approval. This documentary exposed certain part of the city, where certain people in certain part of the city were creating these documents, and it's a big scary issue, and this is why lenders are a lot more strict with what documents they need, what exactly needs to be on these documents. And for example, for employment letters now, every lender is going to call your employer to verify that it is a real employment, a real employer.
That was my next question. How do you verify that the documents are not fake?
Yes,
right?
Personally, I'm not going to share any names, but I've had clients and realtors call to say, "Hey Jeff, do you do something like this? Can you help with some documents?"
Wow.
It's scary, and it's a quick hang up the phone, don't call me back. But for me personally, anytime I get an employment letter, I know the lender is going to do it, so I do it on my end too. I will pick up the phone and call that employer. Not only to make sure they're real, because the clients I work with, it's all real, but also just to know what the employer is going to say. Are they going to say the same thing that's on the employment letter? Are they going to change things up that might scare a lender? So this is why it's important to have somebody on your side that's working for you and with you to ensure that there's not going to be any surprises at the time when you actually do purchase the property.
Yes. It was quite interesting documentary, and opens your eyes.
For sure.
And what's going on.
Yeah, and the one thing about it too is that I found is that they did target like one specific population and one specific like demographic in an area of Toronto. Not to say every mortgage broker or every mortgage agent in that area does that.
But it happens all over the city.
It does.
Not only one spot.
Correct.
Like they said in the documentary. Another question I have: is it a good time to invest? I know with the market situation, a lot of time you cannot really, predict, but even with the 20% down, sometimes you're not gonna get the investment, what you wanna get like before. Can you tell about?
Yeah, sure. So everybody's affordability has decreased, and I'm sure, like as we talk about all the time, yes, with decreased affordability comes, housing prices have also declined. So when we talk about people who are active investors, I have seen a lot of investors purchase properties in these last 2 months, a ton, because there are lots of deals to be had on the properties themselves. The investor clients I'm working with, they are not as concerned about the monthly payments, because those monthly payments are high, and they're not going to cash flow positive likely right now.
Well, nobody's right now cash positive.
No one's really cash flow no one's cash flowing positive. So the reason why these investors, I talk to them, ask, hey, like, why are you doing this now? Well, they're saying, hey, you marry the purchase price, which is low, and you date the interest rate. The interest rate's going to go up and down. You can date it, figure out when it's best to lock in, all that, but you marry that purchase price. So because purchase prices are down so much now, investors are getting in with a smaller down payment required, which is always great. And these investors that I'm working with are less concerned with the month-to-month expenses and more concerned with the overall appreciation over the next 5 years.
And overall, 5 years, you always win.
Exactly.
With real estate. Like down the road, I think, if you invest in real estate, the long prognoses are usually positive. There is very rare you're gonna lose on a property.
Yeah.
in the long term.
I would
We're
say
not talking, 1 year.
that's what I was going to say. The caveat to this is like the clients who I'm working with who have purchased are not looking to buy it, flip it, and sell it in 6 months. That is kind of long, gone now.
Yes.
But the people who are going to hold it for the next few years, they're probably going to come out on top on down the line. I have a question for you. So I've had a ton of clients reach out to me recently, and I always push them towards talking to their realtor. But I've had a lot of clients ask me, hey Jeff, should I buy my house? Should I buy first or should I sell first? And I always, I'm curious to know your thoughts.
Thank you for actually addressing this issue. I have a big blog on my website regarding buying first or selling first. So you can guys just go to my website and find out. To answer your question, it depends on the market, right? If there is a market which is, like it was before March, everybody was selling first and buying after because, you had no issues buying or selling. Right now, because everybody is very cautious, and we don't know what's going to happen with the market, and like the sellers are cautious, the buyers are also very kind of stopping themselves. I would recommend to sell first and then buy. Also, if you need to sell because you need to sell, right? Or you need to buy somewhere because you relocate, but you still have a property. So you just have to have a condition, to secure your house before buying so you can sell your home. And yes, in this market, I would strongly recommend it selling first. What do you think?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I've had a lot of buyers, a lot of clients come to me recently who have purchased a home. They purchased it a few months ago and their house is not selling. And their idea was to use the fund equity in their home to finance their new property. So there are ways around that if we need it. However, it's very, very expensive. So this is why we work together.
Yes,
because we have the same mindset.
I want to avoid also, for clients breaching the contracts, because if they can't sell it, they have no money. Bridging mortgages, like you said, sometimes it's very expensive. Yeah. They can't afford it. So we don't want to be in a situation that, there will be a lawsuit behind it, right? So I would strongly, in today's market, recommend it to sell first and then buy after.
Yeah.
Right? I know you're very busy. I don't want to hold you any longer. What's your prediction for 2023?
All right. Well, as I mentioned earlier, my magic crystal ball tells me my prediction. I'll give you my actual rate prediction too. So I think that after the increase in December 7th, I think rates might increase 1 or 2 more times, and then they're probably going to hold flat for 12 to 18 months. And then eventually come back down to reality. Reality isn't a year ago interest rates at 1 or 1.5%, but they're not at 5.5 or 6.5% where they are today. Probably somewhere in the middle.
What do you think about the stress test, Jeff?
Yeah, stress test right now is impacting. It has such a huge impact on clients on buying and investing. So right now what I'm noticing is many clients are not qualifying in the A space, which are big banks and other types of lenders. They're moving over to the B space or even private lending because the stress test has such a huge impact on these clients. So what we talked about earlier was, will it go away? Every mortgage professional in the world hopes it does, because that means clients who can afford these properties but just can't, maybe there's other issues with it and maybe they can't on paper. It will allow these people to come back into the market.
Yes, especially young professionals with just, getting into real estate, first-time home buyers. They have really difficult time to...
Definitely.
Especially with the rate increase, the stress test on top. I have a lot of buyers which are just waiting for miracles.
Yeah, so will they get rid of the stress test? I think we both hope they will. The talk in the industry is that everyone hopes, but probably not.
I don't think so.
Not in the near future.
Thank you very much, Jeff, for being here.
Well, thanks for having me, Kate.
I really appreciate. Thank you, guys, and until next time.